Welcome to Living the Empowered Life podcast, where we discuss all things empowering, encouraging, and inspiring. My name is Yvonne Ellis. I'm an empowerment speaker, author, coach, trainer, and founder of Yumi Empowerment, a company that facilitates the empowerment of people. I help people to make positive life change, live in their purpose, and develop into their best version of self. I share stories, interviews, spiritual encouragement, and actionable tips to empower, encourage, and inspire you to live the life you want. So if you want to live the empowered life, join me each week on my podcast so we can take the journey together. Hello, Empowered Lifers. Welcome to Living the Empowered Life podcast. Hope you're all doing well today. Apologies. Guys, I owe you an apology. I was meant to do an episode upload a couple weeks ago, but in all honesty, I just could not do it because of the heat. I don't know if you guys are aware that I do my podcast recording at home in my home office, which is upstairs in the house. And when it gets hot, the heat rises to the top of the house. So the week where I was meant to do the podcast episode, the whole week was like 30 something degrees. And no matter what time I came in there to try and attempt to do the episode, it was just too hot. And obviously, because of the noise with the outside road and the background, I had to close my window, which meant that it was just too hot. I couldn't record with the window open. And when I listened back to what I recorded, it just didn't sound good. So guys, I'm really sorry about not being able to upload that episode. But I'm back today and it's episode 111. And I wanted to share with you about breaking generational fear. As an empowerment coach, I've realised through talking to the many people that I have been able to encourage and help, that a lot of them have inherited generational fear. Whether that's been passed down by parents, grandparents, a family kind of mantra thing of just fear, doubt and insecurity. And that video that I did about generational fear seemed to hit a lot of right notes with people because they realised that actually this is something that has held them back from living the empowered life. So today on this episode, I want to go into a little bit more detail about generational fear and some things that could possibly help you with that. But before I do that, I want to share with you some quotes about generational fear. The first quote, it doesn't say who it's by. Oh, it does actually. It says by Joy Moyner. It says, "Stop saying it runs in the family when you have the power to break generational curses." That is right, guys. Now, when we talk about generational curses, it's not an actual curse, but it's something that is ingrained within a family. It's not like somebody's put a spell on the family or anything like that, but it's just a mindset, a thing that has just been passed down and accepted within the family. And that is why it is kind of explained as a generational curse, because it's not empowering the next generation that's coming later. It's keeping them stuck. So I think that quote by Joy Moreno is very, very true. Stop saying it runs in the family. There is power in your words. You have the power to break generational curses. The next quote is by somebody called Alex Miles. And they say, sometimes breaking generational curses means becoming your own parent. Now, I think what that person is trying to say by this quote is that you have to navigate your way out of it and find a way to get through it and solve this problem. Because obviously relying on your parent or your grandparents probably is not going to cut it. And I've had to learn that myself when it's come to generational things that have been passed down. I've had to deal with a lot of that type of stuff, and I've realised that I've had to be the first to take a lot of brave and courageous decisions. So sometimes it might mean going it alone. And the last quote I want to share with you, it doesn't say who it's by, but it says, "You'll never break a generational curse if you're still trying to please the generation that cursed you." Wow, that's powerful. A couple of things about this quote. I don't necessarily believe that the previous generation has done it on purpose to curse you. It's just the way they are. It's just the way their mindset has been set up from the generation before them. But what is true actually is if you're trying to please that generation, the ones that haven't been able to be free, your previous generation, if you're trying to please them, you'll never be able to do it, because their mindset is not one in fixing the issue or trying to solve the problem. They have got this mindset that is stuck in their ways. So if you're going to them and saying, yeah, I'm doing all this stuff, I'm trying new things, and I'm exploring new opportunities, and you're expecting them to say, well done, what is it you're doing? Let me encourage you. You're not going to get anywhere with that, because their mindset is still the same. So those are some quotes to think about. And as I mentioned, this episode 111 is about fear and generational curses. And I think it's really important to talk about, because as part of living the empowered life, and this podcast is all about helping you to shift your mindset and, live the life you deserve. It's about helping you to empower you in whatever circumstances you find yourself in life. And generational fear keeps a lot of people stuck. As I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, I'm an empowerment coach. I work with clients to help them to work on their goals and dreams, and we explore the things that have kept them stuck. A lot of my clients are 35 plus, and that is the age group where I see a lot of this generational fear. Up until this point, they've done a job or been doing a career that's not something they really wanted to do, but they're doing it anyway because it pays the bills, keeps a roof over their head, it helps them to kind of look after their family, but their heart wants to do something else. But when we talk and we explore why their heart hasn't gone for the things they want, it always is coming back to this thing of a word that was spoken to them as a child, or spoken over them by their mum or a dad or a grandparent, a kind of family expectation of just hitting a ceiling point and not going beyond. This is as far as we go as a family and not beyond. There's all these different underlying issues. When I talk about what's keeping them stuck, that comes up. And as I mentioned, I did a video about it, and I wanted to explore it a little bit more for those of you who are really struggling. Now, what is generational fear? As I explained, it is a mindset that's been passed down through generations. It's passed down through family, through culture. It could be things to do with fears around money, safety, relationship, success. It's that mindset that says, we don't explore or do new things. It's all of that stuff. It's the voice that says, don't try too hard, stay quiet. These types of dreams or things that, other people are doing is not for people like that, like us. These beliefs, I think, for a lot of people do stem from real traumas, depending on the generation that you've grown up in. Maybe it is you've come up through poverty or abuse. A lot of the time when previous generations are passing things on down to others in their family, it's because they're not healed. They have not tried to come out of their comfort zone. And basically, that's the inheritance they pass down. It's like an emotional DNA. Now, how generational fear shows up in somebody's life, it can show up in things like playing it small, playing it safe, as I said, doing that safe job and not exploring anything else. It could be avoiding risks or fear of change. It could even be people-pleasing or self-sabotage. You might fear success because no one in your family had it. That is a very, very real thing. I know people who have had breakthroughs and real success in doing things, but they are sabotaging themselves because of the previous generations in their family. Nobody in their family has done things like what they're doing. And because that blueprint isn't there, that likelihood to try and sabotage it is very, very real. I'm the first one in my family to do a lot of things. I broke out of childhood sexual abuse. I was kind of like the first female in my family to have courage to say and do different things. Live to the beat of my own drum through Jesus Christ. That wasn't done in my family before. I'm the first person who's doing the things that I'm doing within my family. And at the beginning of my journey, that self-sabotage thing was there through going through childhood sexual abuse. That kind of thing that I inherited that says I wasn't quite good enough, or I wasn't enough, or that I was tainted goods and that, just because of the experiences I had because of that abuse. And I went through a real thing of self-sabotage because of the generational stuff that was in my family. But, having success is something that you can totally have. And even things like speaking up about abuse is something you can totally do. If you've gone through abuse and other generations have had this generational thing, of avoiding speaking up, you can speak up as well, because you don't have to keep the piece going. You don't have to keep quiet, to keep it going. And you don't have to avoid success because others in your family have avoided it or not tried to go after it. I would even say that anxiety that seems unexplainable that you may be suffering with may be rooted in generational things that you have unconsciously absorbed. You've taken it in and not realised that some of the things that have been said to you is causing you this. Now, why it's time to break the cycle is because you're not just here to survive, you are here to live and thrive. Breaking generational fear isn't just for you, it is for your children, your community, and everyone else watching you rise. I would say more so for your children if you've got children coming up under you. The same messages of negativity and generational fear that was passed down to you. I'm sure if you're a mother, a parent, a caregiver, you don't want that to be passed down to your children. When one person heals, it sends ripples forwards and backwards. That one person being you, it will send ripples forward, good ripples, positive ripples forwards to your children, when they see that you've healed from your generational fear, and backward to the generations that come before you, because they will be looking and thinking, all the things that I thought weren't possible to do, this generation has been able to do. This generation being you. So I just want to share with you some steps to start breaking generational fear. The first step I want to say to you is to name the fear. Ask yourself, what fear keeps repeating itself in your family? What did you hear growing up about life, love, or success? Whatever that fear is, what did you grow up hearing about it? The next step is to identify the root. Is this fear really yours, or was it passed down to you? That's very important, because with generational fear, it is an inheritance of a mindset of fears, doubts, insecurities, negative statements that have been usually passed down. So you need to identify that. The next thing I would say, which is step 3, is to challenge that belief, challenge that generational fear. Replace I can't with what if I can. You have to be the one to begin to reframe those old stories. Step 4, take small brave actions. Just like I mentioned in the video I did last week, it's about doing new or different things. You need to take small brave actions. Maybe it's to speak up about something, to try that thing, to say no, to say yes. Small steps always build new courage. And if you're looking for something to help you to build courage, do check out my courage course. I will leave a link to it in the show notes description box below. It's a step-by-step process to help you to understand courage, to go through courage, and to help you to go after your goals and dreams. Do check it out. Step 5 is to surround yourself with empowerment. You need new language, new energy, and new examples. Your generations that have gone before you, where you've inherited that generational fear, whether it's from your parents, your family, your culture, all those kind of narratives now need to be broken. It's time for new language, new energy, new examples. Get yourself around people who can show you a different reality is possible. You need to come out from amongst those people who have helped to create this atmosphere of generational fear in your life and have kept it going. And I want to share with you some affirmations and encouragement as we end this podcast. So repeat after me. I am not my past. I am the beginning of a new future. I release that fear that does not belong to me. I choose courage. I choose healing. I choose freedom. I break cycles. I build legacies. Remember, living the empowered life, is about breaking cycles and building legacies. It is about owning your life and finding empowerment no matter the circumstances. Even if you have been in a family that is generationally negative, who has passed on generational fear to you, you can choose courage, you can choose healing, you can choose freedom, you can break cycles, you can build legacies. You need to remember that. It may be scary because you've never seen it done before in your family, but you can be the first in your family to do it. I was the first to do it. As I finish the podcast, I just want to also remind you, you were not born to carry what others didn't heal. You were born to rise, and you are rising. So as I finish the podcast, I just want to share a couple other things with you. The first is the Bible scripture that I usually leave with you at the end of the podcast. Today it is from John 8:36. So John chapter 8 verse 36, it says, "Therefore if the Son makes you free, you shall be free indeed." The most powerful thing that you can do to break any kind of generational curse over your life is to give your heart and life to Jesus Christ. By his blood you will be set free. The power of his life will speak over your life and break anything negative that has been put over your family bloodline, over your life, over your circumstances. Jesus Christ can break all of that. He has the power to do that. And you don't have to stay stuck in generational things. You're not responsible for the insecurities, fears, failings, and all the other things that your previous generation suffered. You're not responsible for them. You're born to rise, and you are rising. Step by step, you're rising. So that is it for this episode, guys. If this episode today spoke to you, please share it with someone who needs encouragement with this. The more of us that can break generational fear means the more of us that can live the life that we really want. I've been able to do it, and I encourage others to do it. And please, I would ask you, don't forget to hit the subscribe, rate, or follow button for this podcast. It's on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, also on Living the Empowered Life YouTube channel. And I will see you guys on the next episode. Take care.